You're watching my favorite YouTube channel. I'm Chillmonger. The Road to Wisdom. Danny. Hello, Danny.
So man, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome, man. How long ago did you see Sinners?
Last Tuesday I went for my second time.
Ooh. So I know you told me a long time ago about this 1 hour drive to go see something in IMAX, and you never think it's worth it. I want to know if you saw the second time or the first time in IMAX.
I didn't. I saw it in a better theater though. The first time I saw my hometown theater. Second time I was on vacation last week in a town called Myrtle Beach. My son, he didn't see it. He said, "I want to go see it." I said, "Yeah, I'll go with you." We go to a very nice theater. One of the
How nice
nicest
does it
ones.
feel knowing that Ryan Coogler is getting a cut of our money? He gets first dollar gross, and
Good.
it's his movie. He's going to own it in 25 years.
Yes, I am ecstatic. I'm very pleased. I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't know it was going to be this good. And then I really wish I heard he said it's going to be one and done, but I would love for him to expand his universe. I would love to have to um, see how Remit was created. I think it says something on Spotify saying something about he came over with some Irish immigrants or something, and something happened. Then I would like to see how Smoke and Mary made it from 1932, I think it was, to current date and see their journey and all kind of stuff. But it was better than I anticipated.
You don't do a post credit scene unless you want to add to it and do a
Yeah,
sequel or prequel.
yeah.
Hello to
Second
Sean.
second post credit, really not. It didn't it didn't do anything to the story. It didn't take away or add to it. But the first one was very very interesting. It made me want it more.
We got joined by Sean. We got joined by Pam Entertainment. Yeah, Sean, you do not live there, Sean. I've seen that background. That is a green screen.
I don't know why you're calling me out or attempting to, but this is absolutely where I live. You see that piano? You want me to bust out and play that?
Yeah, go
I,
ahead. Bust
I
out
bet if
some.
you put your hand out in front of that piano, we would see some glitching in the Matrix.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We have Pam Entertainment TV. Hello there, Pam.
Hello there. How are you?
We're okay. Let's start with this. Do you think that there will be a sequel or anything added to the Sinners franchise?
Me?
Yeah.
No sequel. I think it was tied up fine as far as what happened to Sammy. We're glad that he got there. He got to live the full life that he needed to live. I said on one of my streams, I don't really care about Stack and Mary at this point because as soon as Sammy dies, in my opinion, they're going to revert to Remick. They're going to try to find them a whole family, so they're just going to be eating and tearing up everybody to try to recreate uh to at least try to have a family. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested more in prequels. I'd love to see the Choctaw vampire or monster hunting because you can open that world of Sasquatch and chupacabras and all that other stuff. That would be interesting, and them and their spirituality and all of this other stuff going into hunt and how they understand and know that there are different creatures and things like that, and what else is going on that way. But interestingly enough, because they introduced this thing about Sammy having the gift and being able to open the veils and all that other stuff, I think it would be interesting to hear about Stack and Smoke's father. I thought I'm thinking in my head, he had the gift too, but the only thing that his gift gave him was foresight in the future, and which could possibly explain some of his hatred of Stack because maybe he was able, like the ancient one, she was only able to see a certain point in her future that he was only able to see that night at the jit joint, and he saw that looked like Stack was trying to kill Smoke, so he spent his there's guilt and fear and anger and all this other
Ooh,
stuff because he
you are
feels like
you are down that rabbit hole, buddy.
I'm real deep, real deep
Yeah,
because
we're too deep. We got to start at the beginning.
yeah, because I'm thinking the father would be like, you've already killed my wife, now you're trying to kill my son, I can't have that. But that's it, that's just me.
Smoke and Stack, played by Michael B. Okay, great job there. I could see that they were two different people. Good idea to have the blue on one, the red on the
Red
other.
one. Yep, very
They even
good.
spoke a little differently too, and I could tell apart
Uh,
who each of them were. Because sometimes he
Yeah.
wasn't wearing much. When he was alone with Mary, is it? He wasn't wearing much. He wasn't wearing his red then. Sean, what did you think of Smoke and Stack?
I thought they were amazing characters. One conspiracy theory that I've always had is that Jonathan Majors was supposed to play one of the characters, and
I've
then
heard that too.
whenever everything happened, they just went with Michael B. Jordan playing both. I can see how if it were Majors and Michael, that would have been a completely different but still interesting dynamic. But having Michael B. Jordan have to play both characters brought a lot out of him as an actor. That was really impressive to see. I think there was a lot of great symbolism throughout the movie with both Smoke and Stack and the way that they were able to allow us as viewers to differentiate between them. Thought that was all expertly done.
And it'll win him the Oscar.
I would love to see that, or at least get
I-
the nomination, man.
I think it'll get a nomination. I don't think it'll get the win.
But he doesn't get the nomination if Jonathan Majors plays one of them.
I agree with that. Yep.
Yeah, I think he'll get a nomination. He will not. I don't think he'll get a win. I think something. I don't know what it is, but I don't think he's going to get.
Well,
win.
what I get is Brian from the Spoiler Kings who's in the building. Okay,
What's up?
what's the most likely award Sinners will win, Brian?
Cinematography. I mean, doing it on the 70 millimeter. I mean, just the way to change it, and then doing the IMAX and switching through them. And you can see like when they wanted to narrow your viewpoint, they went from wide to narrow, and it was beautiful the way they did it. I mean, Coogler
think they-
outdid himself.
They get costume and they'll get music too.
That's a
Yeah.
good one too. Those are
But
good.
Ruth B. Carter, she won costume for her last two films. I remember the first one was Black Panther. I forget what the second one was.
They'll definitely get soundtrack.
Oh, Ludwig
Oh
Göransson.
yes, good job.
Yeah.
Soundtrack.
So I don't watch every single movie that's out in theaters. Is there anything that competes with it so far since from now till April till
Nope.
January? No, nothing.
I don't see it. This is the best movie I've seen in the past year.
Okay then.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, there have been good movies, but nothing that's as significant and so well rounded in depth. You know, the depth of the movie was really great.
Yeah,
Right.
people
Well,
give.
I'll say 1A, 1B because I really like it. I don't know if it was in the theaters, but I saw it. The Forge. That's the closest thing to me that I've seen. That
I usually don't like movies that go back in time. I usually don't like movies that have themes of oppression. And this is basically it is the 1920s, right? So 30s. So it's gonna have that.
1932. Yeah. So
32.
Yeah, I usually don't like going back in time. I mean, when the dude who they sold the
land to.
the land to, that guy, when he comes out and he's speaking all Southern like, and I'm like, well, that's a racist. Like, duh. I didn't even need to say anything, hear anything about Klan and whatnot. I just go, oh, a racist
Man,
a white
when
person
you-
in the 1930s with a
you
cowboy
use that
hat
word,
on.
boy.
South in Mississippi.
Mississippi, you boys, blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, yeah, I got it, understood. And I hate having to visit that, and I hate associating melanated skin tone with oppression. Like
I so agree with you. I so
Yeah.
agree. But what I will say this, that he did a great job with using the music and then the ancestors, letting you know that because a lot of times when you think about Black people, a lot talk about slave being the culture. That's what they always talk about. Like really, all culture that we know about is based in slavery. So they went back and they used the spirituality. They went to West Africa. They used all that.
But that's not where the majority of the movie took place, though. A bulk of the movie took place in.
But it's still connection. So understand that your culture does not end or does not start or begin with slavery. That you can go
Ryan
back.
Coogler. I agree. No, hold on. I agree with that. The culture does not begin with slavery. You can go back in time. Ryan Coogler, I hope you do the live action adaptation of Ianu, which I have the episode 5 reaction up on my channel, and this takes place in a time before all that oppressive BS. If now use the money that you got here, that you earned, now use it to do something that is like creative, and like that's always going to be not a criticism, but a point that I'll point out for this movie is that the time place that it took place in. Anyone?
I would say this about the time thing, and probably me being the elder stateswoman here,
I thought you were going to say the Alabama here.
and the Alabama.
I thought you were going to say the time period doesn't matter. It's Alabama, it's the South. It doesn't matter. You can go 10 years.
For me, it's different. I have a different feel about that. I hear exactly what everyone is saying, but I'm also thinking about my grandmother. My grandmother was born in 1913. And so when she would talk to us about what was going on and how she would think, because I would think about the things like respectability politics and all this other stuff. And my grandmother was not that she was beating that into our heads, but I appreciate now the time period in which she came from, because if you didn't act a certain way, or if you didn't do a certain way, it's one thing that you may go to the riverboat and get you a folding chair and start popping heads, but it was a thing where their lives were in jeopardy. And there was a lot of things this movie did for me that connected me a little bit more. When they started talking about those wooden nickels and things like that, and my grandmother had all these coins, and she had all these different things of money, and when they said that, I was like, oh my gosh, now I'm understanding why they had this, because for us it looked like fake money. Why do you have fake money? And she was very possessive and very because sometimes I don't have the right words, but she was very, very keen about making sure that we had that, making sure she understood that, this person made this money, this right here, and we were looking like it for us it was like monopoly money. What is she talking about? But then when they started saying that they were paying with wood nickels and plantation money and all this other stuff, those are the things I think a lot of times, if we spend so much time, we have to really check our emotional payout when we're talking about these movies. I know they get upset. You get upset about understanding about that there were enslaved people. You get upset. You understand that there were oppressed people. But if we don't connect to that, if we don't understand that, and then you start to understand why your grandparents acted the way they did. Now you understand why your parents are acting the way they do, why you understand these types of things. Because if we don't have those connections, if you don't have those things, you're going to forget it as a people, and then you're going to run around here thinking that you know everything. You got your degree and you know everything. You're going to be thinking that, and then history is going to repeat itself. As we see now, that history is repeating itself, because you have a whole swath of population that period of time, people are acting like it didn't happen. People are acting like
culture. It's lost. We've lost a lot.
Yep.
And so all this stuff that we see going on in politics right now here in the United States, it happened before. Think about Reconstruction. Think about Reconstruction going into Jim Crow. What you see now, same situation. But because people are not, only time in history that you want to focus in on, like Byron said, was the enslaved people, you're going to miss a whole lot of stuff. So I appreciate the time period only in that it's going to be connecting the younger people with what their grandparents or their great grandparents, and make it real, because now it's not real. How do you think that something like that is real when I've got my cell phone and I can watch us on a panel on YouTube, and that doesn't seem, that's far away?
Yeah.
Well,
in
my
what you
lifetime,
said, and when you tell them something, they're like, "That ain't true," and they'll go to Siri, and then when they look, and it tells them it did happen. They're like, "Wow." I agree with you, Miss Pam. I know sometimes it show us in an unfavorable light, but sometimes that is necessary for this younger generation to, hey, look, it's not always been this cell phone, this cool car, this, that, and the other. It's been a struggle. So you need to remember where you come from, because like you said, if you forget where you come from,
you're destined to repeat it.
Yeah.
you're going to repeat it.
I didn't have a problem with it. It made me thought about, because I was born in the 70s. And I can remember where I lived out. I got you. I remember the Klan marching down Main Street. I remember that. I remember them coming to the schools with pamphlets trying to recruit people. I remember that.
How did you know you had pamphlets?
Huh? I saw the pamphlets.
You saw it.
How did you see the pamphlets?
When they passed
They weren't. Listen, I really want you to understand that the Klan only became covert probably, let's get to like 85. What was it? When did they get sued? By 81, 82, 83. They started going underground about 84, 85, 86.
The beginning of the Reagan administration, I think a lot of that stuff happened.
Chuck said it best, man. Klan's wearing 3-piece suits now, buddy.
Well, I was going to even say, you have to understand that Florida's teaching that this stuff doesn't even exist, that this stuff didn't even happen.
Yeah, well,
so
he said
you're going to have lost.
He said that there was skills that were learned through this period. Perseverance was taught. There was a whole bunch of benefits from enslavement. Yeah, Ron DeSantis
telling you that they wanted to do it, or that sharecropping was a chance for someone to buy land, but you really don't understand that what sharecropping was. If you didn't hit your quota, that means they could take everything that you have. So it's very much like what I said, but what France is doing to the African colonies, and that they're still paying their GDP is so awful because it's still paying. That's what sharecropping is. This is it's awful. You don't ever get that money back. And then the Great Migration, teaching about that, because you know what? They're not teaching it in school anymore, Chill. And it's within
So then
one
I'm not
generation.
against teaching it.
But
I'm not against teaching that a Great Migration happened.
These
You're
kids
from Mississippi, went
this
to
is the only
Chicago.
way you're going to see it, though. Now,
there's other ways you could. There's more direct ways you can put it. You can put it in
books. There's
you can
no
put it in
one's
documentary. You can put it in places, but taking it and sticking it into a 2-hour movie, while the movie will be seen by many people, you could tell a lot more if you just by actually doing documentary, actually doing highly produced. You know what I mean? Dedicate your time to that. I'm not against the education factor of it.
I agree with what you're saying, Chill, but this is the more way to spark an interest. This is the best way because there were some things, I'm just going to use this. There's some things DCU, MCU, I ain't never heard of. But when I see it, I'll be like, Case in point, I never heard of the part where Iron Man was Dr. Doom, whatever they're trying to do now. So I went back and researched it, and like, so this did actually happen. So I'm saying the same thing could be used. I think this is a good vehicle to spark interest for individuals that don't know or be like,
I don't know whose interest is getting sparked by. There's wooden chip coins, and that currency is only used in.
Now I'm saying the younger generation that sees it.
I don't think they see that, and I don't think they get the entire message from seeing that. I just think they go, "Oh, look, the people didn't have enough money, the right money." I think, like, if it's not significant enough to me, is what I'm saying.
I would push back on you only because for me it's significant because there's a connection that I have with my grandmother that this movie sparked again. And a lot of times it has to do with who has lived through what history is being told. And I mean, the thing that's happening now, and I don't need to go get off to the thing. I just think it is important and it's very germane to the story, because if that story, you're talking about this guy wanting to play music or anything like that in this time period, the stakes are not that high. I mean, and let me just explain it, because you have to understand in that particular time period, it was church, work, nothing else. You didn't have you didn't have all of those different things. So when Smoke and Stack came down to do this, that was huge, monumental. That's like putting a new football or baseball stadium in a city that didn't have anything or a movie theater or something like that. The stakes are higher. The stakes would have been higher there. The repercussions would be higher because of the fact that if you grew up in the South and you were Black, you don't go outside of the church to do nothing. Everything that you had, everything that you did was inside of the church. Why do you think the Civil Rights movement was so big and prosperous in the church? Why do you think that they made that the 503 rule where you can't talk politics in church, but you can get a tax exempt? That was huge in our community back then. So I think just the time period, not because it's, you're talking about Jim Crow and people being oppressed, but you needed that time period so that you can feel the weight of Sammy's choice. There was a huge weight of Sammy's choice about wanting to do music and defying his father.
Because I would have given up that guitar, buddy. I'm telling you, after seeing that, I would have let that guitar drop. But
no, I think that's even interesting. We had Stack and Smoke. They're World War I veterans. All right. So now, so history of that, and then coming back and then having to go to Chicago and then working for Al Capone, and then how that part was. I mean, it's layer upon layer. How did they have Black people had money during the Great Depression? Because everyone else lost money. Black people had money during the Great Depression because the banks didn't allow them to put their money in the bank. So that's why they had cars, and that's what the racial tension was even more, because I might have more than you because I didn't lose my money. So there's all those type of tidbits in this movie, and it's important to be able to show someone this stuff is actually there.
It's showing, but it's not informed. When I said it's not significant, I wasn't speaking to Pam's emotional reaction to something. She's someone who's in the know. What I'm calling not significant was the education, the lesson that is taught, when you see that, oh, those guys they're driving cars. They're supposed to be black and they're supposed to be of a lower status, but they're driving cars. I don't think I don't think that it was informative enough to warrant me going, yeah, I can enjoy a movie in the 1930s. Like I still don't want 1930s movies. I'm for future. I'm for humanizing without having to ever involve someone's skin color and just normalize a person's Michael B. Jordan's appearance and just have a movie happen with ups and downs. And you can have deep meanings there, but just don't keep it skin color related. Where's that? Where's Star Wars? But black people, where's that?
No,
I mean,
but think it's
I
important to
feel
know
like
what you're
that's way outside the purview of the conversation about this movie, though, right? Like, this movie is what it is. It's not
Yeah.
Star Wars. It wasn't meant to be Star Wars, right?
Mhm.
So, like, maybe that'll be Ryan Coogler's next project, but this was what it was.
Not to mention how many people are talking about this now. So how many I go through my timeline, I'm looking seeing how many people are having these discussions. So it's not just so that he showed it, right? He gave us, and now we're discussing this. And now young people that do watch YouTube videos are learning things. People are asking me all the time. I mean, I own these restaurants. I talk to these young people all the time from high school. I didn't know this. Is this true? Is this true? Yes, this is very much true. What's the one drop of blood? What does it mean to be passing? What is, Choctaw Indian? Oh, they were around. All that stuff is real, and they have no idea. And you're not going to get it from anywhere else. You're going to say you're going to get it from school. You're not going to. But hearing from people that actually are willing to talk about this gives you an idea and gives an opportunity for someone to learn something. Right now, there was no opportunity before then.
Okay, so then you're adding something, Brian, to the movie. You're adding the post conversation, because when I just watched the movie and I see the Chinese family, Grace, and she walks across the street from one store to another, in my first viewing, I didn't notice that it was a segregated community, and I wasn't looking at the background or anything. I was just like, I wasn't thinking like that. So I'm not alone. There's other people just watching it. I'll give you an example. Let's jumping to the words to the ending. Grace was the one who let the vampires in. Remember?
Oh, yeah. Man, messed up.
Dummy.
The guy behind me goes, "It's always a woman." So I'm like, one of those misogynistic little comments. I don't know. He was brave. It was opening night, and he was brave enough to let that out in front of, I don't know how many people were in earshot of it, but he let that out. That was deeper than "it's always a woman." That was someone. I see a couple of head nods. You guys know where I'm going to go with this. Chinese people, they're an of color. They're a minoritized group, and when the cause is same with the black community, there it is, solidarity. Soon as there's something that, and for Grace, it was that her daughter was going to be a victim next. As soon as there's something that compromises the relationship between Chinese and black, it's, she'll forsake the black. Come on in. She invites them all in. It was something deeper than that, wasn't it? That you
Well,
would see.
you need to go back further. You would need to go back further. You would need to go back further when she sees Stack was turned. That's when she made that little incident about, oh, this ain't got nothing to do with us, and she sent
Mhm.
she sent her husband
Oh,
out
let's
there.
go.
I think that was that one spot, and you're right. You see it differently, because when I saw her say that reaction that you just had, that's when I had that reaction. The reaction that she had when she opened her mouth to say that was the second reaction. Was there's always somebody that wants to determine your fate without asking you what you felt about something. That was the thing I got out of there. It was like, you should have at least
Very,
you
very
should have-
selfish.
yeah, yeah. I can understand her thing, because I'm sorry, but if some white man comes up to me and starts speaking to me in my native tongue, talking about he knows what I like and what's going to happen, my first reaction would have been that reaction. However, me growing up the way that I grew up, I have to look around, because my decisions is going to affect everybody around me. And I don't think that she had that. She was very focused on what she wanted, and she was ready to leave. As long as she was making money, as long as everything was happy and prosperous, she was fine. But when it got to the point that things got real, she was ready to book. But I do understand what you're talking about.
You don't think that was shown in the movie, though? I mean, even the idea that Bo was on one side and she was on the other side, they're being able to go in between the two worlds. But
It was there.
Whatever, was going to make them money, that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, that's
they're not
thing.
afraid of being around you, but they weren't one with me. They're not the same. I thought that was obvious. I think that was spelled out from the beginning.
Yeah, and they were able to retain, even though that they were somewhere. I think people forget is that when you have a lot of people that immigrate to the country and things like that, they're able to retain their culture.
Mhm.
It, you know, she goes back home, and that's why, like I said, he was speaking in her native tongue. She was shocked by all of that. That, you know, because again, she can go through two different worlds, and she can act accordingly for whoever she's speaking with. But for that person, for him, it jarred her that he was in as far in her community. I'm gonna say within her head, and how her and her husband spoke to each other. Because when they went home, they didn't speak English; they were speaking Chinese,
To us,
Mandarin.
Grace was in the wrong, but if you are a parent, you would do anything to protect your child, and she knew someone would need to handle the vampires.
Agreed. You know, as a parent, you know, I agree that, you know, yes, my daughter being a problem, I need to be. We're going to have to do something.
Yeah, sunup is coming.
I gotta live to protect my child.
Yeah, but I need to be thinking about it. I'm going to be smart about it. I'm not going to be stupid about, okay, I'm going to invite everybody in. That's a dumb decision.
Yeah.
That wasn't thought out decision. I think she was very reactionary. And because she wasn't in that the mind frame that these people are just like me, she was in the mind frame, I need to protect me. And that's what I made these decisions. Because Stack, you supposed to be a badass. I'm going to call and invite him in. You better go do something. What? It made no sense at all for her.
Yeah, I mean, she tried to call Smoke out and make them all.
Of course, it doesn't make sense
soldier.
though, right? Like she was the only person in the warehouse that had an emotional connection directly to someone outside.
Mm-hmm.
So like we could sit here and say it was irrational, but like that's the point. That the point is that it was irrational.
The most important part of that scene when they were outside early in the movie, when there was two stores, and you know, it was like, Smoke is so cool. He told this woman, you gotta watch my car, and it's gonna be 10 cents per hour, and you know, beep the horn. And then she finally did it, and I go, ooh, there's trouble. He popped the guy's kneecap, even though he knew who the guys were. He still had to shoot the other guy. I can't let people know that you guys can attack the Smokestack brothers and get away with it and live to tell the tale. And I'm like, you know,
that's the world, and that's a gangster mentality. That's the world in that type
That's the
of
world.
place.
That's the world today.
That's what it is. I need to
Because
have
it's
my
one
respect.
thing. It's one thing when the white people rob you. It can't be your own people.
I can't allow you to know that I'm weak enough that you're able to step all over me. I have to say something. I have to do something about it. And look, he paid for him to get the nurse to get, take care of him. You know, but I had to do what I got to do. This is part of it.
$20 for the doctor to fix him up.
And do you see that? Do you now see? Well, I don't know if you now see it, but do you see the allure why gangsters and drug dealers and things like that were able to infiltrate the community? Because not only were they causing issues and problems and issues, on the other side, there were some things that they were doing to endear themselves to the community. This is why you have a lot of people that would
it's called a Robin Hood effect.
And would never tell on them. I mean, if he fed me, you know, he might be doing all this bad stuff to y'all, but he fed us. He fed the community, handed out turkeys. You know, that's what you do. You know, he might have shot me, but he took care of me. You know, that's what it is.
The gangsters before the red and the blue.
What up?
Hello, Blue.
What up? That's how you bringing me in? I appreciate
it. We got the Sinners panel has assembled. So we were at the beginning of the movie. Let's talk about, I think you mentioned the one drop rule, right? Our girl Haley Steinfeld played a character. She said, like, my grandpa was half black, or she said something like that. Was it grandpa?
Her dad, I think it was.
Her grandpa.
Her mom's dad.
Yeah.
Grandpa. So why say who's half black? Why don't you just say my great granddad was full black? Why did you have to go to the half black? That's weird.
Well,
To make us think about it.
it's
it.
also
All she knew.
it's also true for her. They took her for her instance, like, you know, this is what her grandfather was has Vietnamese,
Because she actually met her.
Yeah, she actually knows that. That's true. Like for her, Haley Steinfeld was really her.
Yeah, she knows her lineage.
real life in that
her actual lineage.
Yeah.
She probably gets asked that in real life all the time. What are you?
Yeah.
Exactly. She was
I'm
the
a
perfect
human
person
being.
to cast in this role because she does have that multiracial background. Perfect.
And I think
I
that's
actually
the first
know a
time
lot
I've
of
seen
married.
that. Like, because that's the first time I've seen. Because my grandmother was sent away in Mississippi. Like her family was passing. My grandmother was a little bit too dark that you could tell, and they sent her away. back to what the family farm and all that stuff. So she had to go work on the farm while her brothers and sisters, her mother stayed out there. But as her mother got older, she got darker, and then she had to go with my grandmother. So this is something that was the first time I saw it, but that's something to see. That
kind of
really
like some Sicilians. You know what I'm saying? Like they work out into the sun, get a little darker. You know what I'm saying? Because they got African ancestry in them too. The lower Italians, the Sicilians, and stuff like that. So, but I know a lot of Marys down here in the South, man, deep South. A lot of Marys, lots of passing. Got you know what I'm saying.
Let me be clear. Let me be clear about some things. Since I'm the older stateswoman here. Passing doesn't just mean that you're lighter skinned.
Yeah,
because there are a lot of people now. If you go over here to Louisiana, or you come down to South Alabama, there's a lot of folks that you don't know that they're white. You don't think that they're not white until they open their mouths. But passing is you deliberately
culture
go into another community and pass as them. This is why people who pass, because people think, oh, they're just light-skinned, they're passing. No, they're just lighter-skinned black folks. Passing means because you have to get rid of your whole family. No one could know about your black folks' family over here. That's why you have a lot of people who live over in the West, in California. You have a lot of people up in Cleveland, Ohio. You have a lot of people where there was a huge Italian population. You will find a lot of black folks passing because of the fact that if they do get a little darker, they can say, oh, that's the Italian in me. Have you ever noticed that when people find out that they got black folks in their lineage, the first thing they say two things. Oh, well, my folks were Native American, or oh, my folks have some Italian in them. No, boo, your folks got the Negro. That's what that was.
It happened to my great grandmother.
And so for Mary, she's in her hometown. Everybody knows, white and black, that Mary is black. Yeah, everybody know. Most people, but I guess because they were at the train station and there's a multitude of people coming in, you could see why Stack was acting as. Of course, I just think Stack was just an ass, but that's just me. He was acting that way because look at little Sammy. He was like, "Who was this white lady knowing you?
White lady.
This white lady walking up on you.
Who's she walking up on you like that? What's going on?" And you notice how he never did turn around. He was like, he
said, "Is she white?"
Like? Yeah.
Is she white?
He
said, "You sure she white?" I think he already knew who it was. I think
he knew who it was.
Yeah. Then he broke it down to her in the club, like, "Man, I found you a white husband. I found you. I didn't want that. I want you. We can't. We can't be together in this time."
That character was getting a lot of flack. I've been seeing it recently. Mary getting a lot of flack. That character, and I was like, either y'all don't know Mary's like that, or y'all didn't pay attention. Like her mother basically raised the twins. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
So for her mother to be able to raise the twins in a time like this, the mother had to be
part of the black community, basically.
Hue. You know what I'm saying? Like, this ain't just some white woman raising these two dark-skinned boys.
Think about two people. You think about Eartha Kitt and Eartha Kitt's daughter, or you think about Lynn Whitfield and Lynn Whitfield's daughter. I would think Mary's mother was like Lynn Whitfield and Eartha Kitt, and Mary is like their children.
Right.
Yeah, not white like this.
Money, 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 money.
Oh, fanfic $4.99. I don't know why I haven't seen anyone talk about the vampires actually being capitalist. Huh? Appreciate the panel. All right, of all the capitalist, complaining people on this panel, I think Brian and Sean are probably the biggest I've actually heard speak more of this deep into it. Watching the comic styles for Sean, watching the Spoiler King for Brian. Who wants to take this one? About the vampires being capitalist?
I didn't look at them as capitalists.
I don't think that.
I looked at the vampires as this is me. I looked at them as like assimilation. Come join me. Come be here and do this, but you're gonna have to lose a lot of stuff. But give us everything that you're gonna lose. But come on, be here.
I didn't look at it as capitalism.
Assimilate to what though? Assimilate to the system.
Assimilate to them.
Become me.
That's not what
So wait,
capitalist is, chill.
yeah.
Assimilating to capitalism.
Okay, the other
But
word
how-
that we
how
would
does
look
that-
to for
Yeah, how does that work
assimilation
with
is the
assimilation?
Great Melting Pot. I don't know if y'all grew up where you heard Schoolhouse Rock, where they would say the Great American Melting Pot, how all of these
Mhm.
things can come together and we will all
Right.
just be one big
Be
old
one.
people. But in
What
order
the
to
American
do that,
dream.
the American, you've got to, there's a lot of parts that you have to shed. Why do you have a lot of people that come over here and like Bo Chow and them? How she's Grace, but I'm quite sure that her name is not that. How you have people come over with different sounding names, but they change their name to Bernard. You know,
Mhm.
so that's the simulation. That's what I felt like that's and the in order to do that, there's a level of violence that's coming with it. The vampire has to literally you have to be bit in order for you to go over there and assimilate to what he's talking about. But he wasn't assimilating because he really felt like, oh, this is going to be great. The assimilation's coming from because it's going to be easier to take your gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wanted to use them, so it was even things. So like the fact that Remick sought out Sammy, right? Because Sammy had a connection to the ancestors. And what did Annie say? That once you become a vampire, you're now you're cut off
You
from
lose
all
it.
the
Yeah,
ancestors.
you cut off
All
from
the people that used to love you, you're totally cut off. So he wanted to use that. So why did he come after them? Why he said, "Come join us"? Hey, we could go to those KKK guys. We'll go kill them because I need to use you. I'm just you. You're gonna become me. You're gonna become a vampire, and I'm gonna use all your talents. But we're not gonna worry about you once you become me. So that's assimilation. That's that culture vulture type of stuff. I'm
It's also
taking what you got and I'm going to use it for myself.
it's also
He
selling the
wasn't
soul
going to
too.
bite
Selling the
Sammy.
soul to get something.
Was he ever? He wasn't going to bite him. He wasn't going to.
He
Was he
had to
going to?
change him. He was going to slowly talk to him, and that's why he could have
He was gonna bite him.
He was going to
Okay.
bite him and change him
Yeah.
in, and then once he did that, he will become part of the collective, and then Remick now use his gifts to connect with his ancestors again.
Yeah.
Okay, but if vampires are cut off from their ancestry, as soon as Shammy became a vampire, he was going to be cut off.
But the music is what
No,
connects you
yeah,
back.
but
Got you.
His music
Thank
would have been able
Thank
to
you.
do it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Show
the
you
same
something.
all that crap that Remick was singing, nobody knew that. That was his, but he lost. I don't mean to say it bad like that, but all that river dancing, all he was doing, that
He was
his
getting it,
culture.
bro.
Yeah,
He was stepping now. He was stepping.
Let's
Oh,
listen
yeah.
to Kugler's answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like it was that was fucked before
Yeah.
before Stack and Mary decided to go out there and try to get that. Like,
Hold up, it's coming.
you know, they were fucked essentially the moment they got the meal.
But usually that's like kind of the way
Here.
it's presented that actually, again, these systems, like these, what, you know, sorry, I'm just like very deep about this, but
No, I understand.
I just
I'm
think it's
listening.
really interesting because I think so
Yeah.
often vampires traditionally are very wealthy. They they don't give back. Whereas these are guys who are like, you know, apart from like Near Dark or like Lost Boys, you rarely see.
I love those movies. By the
Right.
way.
But they're kind of impoverished vampires. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I feel like you've got. I want to say it's like the first actual Marxist vampire movie because it feels what you're trying to do there. And
You know
so
where I'm from?
Oh,
I'm from Oakland.
oh, okay.
What does that mean? Black Panther Party.
This.
Oakland, Bay Area.
Oh,
Help.
taking me.
The answer is yes.
Yeah.
He can't answer that because he doesn't want the
I
quote.
love it talking to you. Like, but I don't know how comfortable
need
I
some
feel.
words,
Like,
dude.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
you acting like he's slow or something.
He can't. He can't talk about this.
If you say that, then you really are.
Can we talk about?
People already don't like him. People already don't like the fact that he got this deal.
Oh, so you got a woke vampire movie? Da-da-da. You know what? I'm gonna put the link of this interview. Her name is Hannah Flint. I'll put that in there if anyone wants to watch it on the side. But like, you know, yeah, this is
But that's
a Marxist
all
vampire
vampires,
movie.
man. But that's all vampires. I mean, Interview with the Vampires, very much. I mean, they're rich because they've been around so long. They know how
They've been around a long time. Yeah, I don't
They've
think
been
it has
around
anything
forever.
to
It has
do-
nothing
I
to do
mean,
with capitalism.
I'm alive. Yeah. Why would I not amass great wealth if I'm alive that long?
I've been
What were
around. All things you call like these relics and I had. I just hold on
Right.
to them, and then I become rich because I have it. So there's nothing to do with being capitalist. But I think that the idea of being a vulture and a culture vulture and stealing all the things that you have in your community, I always thought that was a huge thing too.
Chill, what were we supposed to get out of that clip? Because I didn't get anything out of it.
Yeah, me neither.
Oh, it's that when she asked him if it was a Marxist vampire movie, he couldn't answer the question because the answer is yes. But then that becomes Fox News headlines. This is Marxism being taught to your kids. This is a woke movie.
What makes it Marxist?
There's just that he answered, "Do you know where I'm from?" Meaning Oakland, meaning Huey Newton, meaning yes, meaning you discovered it. And you should watch the whole interview, and I'll give you the link in the DMs if you want to see more of that. Culture Vulture. Sorry, what?
I had a different interpretation of the vampires. I don't think that the vampires actually represented anything bad within the context of the movie. I don't think that we were supposed to associate the vampires with the other white people, the racists, the KKK. I don't think we're supposed to look at them as similar at all.
Exactly.
I actually took the vampirism as sort of like a more of a banality of evil, if you guys have ever heard that phrase before, where it's something that we would perceive as bad, and there could be the perception of it as being bad, but there's absolutely no malicious intent behind it or anything like that. We were supposed to look at that in juxtaposition to the KKK. You had to die to become a vampire, but you weren't dying from racism. You weren't dying from the things that were consistently killing black people historically. You were dying to become a part of something bigger than your individual self, which we could argue is about whether it's good or bad, but certainly racism is worse. Certainly the KKK is worse.
You know what's worse? Vince McMahon's son.
Here comes the money.
Here we go.
Another super chat. Capitalism required financial assimilation because black folk have their own communities. This is part of being a culture vulture.
In this movie, I disagree.
That's still not capitalism. Capitalism is I make money, you make money, we all make money. That's all capitalism is. It's just making money. I'm in the business of making money.
Capitalism is such an individualistic type thing too.
Yeah.
You know, you pulling yourself up from your bootstraps, but you should be able to get out here and work and do all of those things so that you can make your money. Capitalism is very individualism. Even if you're talking about within your family, you're going to do it and make sure that your family and all this other stuff. I think the vampires represented.
They're just longevity. I've been here.
Well, no, I was trying to pull which one, if they were like socialist, communist, Marxist, whatever.
I would say they were more communist because it was more like a commune than anything because they all together,
But
one
you have-
hive mind doing the same type of thing.
Everybody knew what everybody
you
knew.
have to give up yourself, who you are, to become them.
Right.
That's the biggest thing. You're a black man. I'm a black man.
But they
I
kind of
give
do
that
that
up because we're now vampires more than I'm black. I'm vampire now.
True,
so I have to give up who I am.
Because even in the sense, she was saying that they got to keep their soul. You keep your, like in this movie with vampires, you're not a mindless drone. There is no, if you kill the main vampire, all the rest of them, get cured and think.
I thought that's how it worked.
I thought it was going to be that too. Right?
Well, no, it's different rules. That's what talking about vampires is different rules. Mm-hmm. But they got to keep their individuality up until a point. They all knew, they all had a hive mind, but they still operated, independent of one another. That's why you get Mary and Stack at the end being able to do, you know what I'm saying? They ran off. You know what I'm saying?
Did they run off? I promise you they didn't run off.
Well, they were I think they were in the barn. I think they were 100%
because the barn just locked behind him. The barn is locked from the inside. They had to be in the barn, and he walked out. He took off his hoodoo necklace and all this stuff in there because he no longer needed to be protected from them biting. He's good.
I'm saying they're good to hive mind, but I agree with Blue because during the fight he took Mary and ran. If Remick was controlling them and had complete control, then they would have been stayed there like the rest of them did. For whatever reason, Stack and Mary had their own individual mind and whatever, and they made a conscious decision to run away. Then he came double back around and fought his brother Smoke, and then he could have killed Smoke. Smoke could have killed him, but he let that promise. He withheld that promise. So if he was just mindless drone or this crazy vampire controlled by something, he wouldn't have withheld his promise to his brother. So I think that once maybe Remick got killed, and that maybe gave
He
him
was
more
able to
freedom,
have his great
whatever.
individuality.
But
Could,
I think
could be.
it's
But he ran out before Remick died, though. He
I'm
took
saying
They ran off and went to the barn because everyone else that ran off, the
they,
son was
they ran.
they all died.
They ran out the barn during the fight, but then
they ran out the barn. But I think
he circled back around to
I think
Smoke.
he came back and went back into
Smoke
the
fall.
barn.
We don't know where Mary was at, but Mary was sitting around there because Mary had a very outburst whenever Smoke Girl was killed. She didn't want
Annie. Because Mary
they wanted family.
Oh
They wanted the family together.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
Mary was always on the outside, right? So she was always a little bit different than everybody else, and she wanted to feel like we're finally all the same. That's what she wanted.
But also, like we can interpret the violence as bad because obviously, the association of being bitten, dying, that's a negative thing. But in their mind, it's not negative because they're alive, they're going to live forever, they're powerful, and they're unified with each other.
Right.
So it wasn't a bad thing.
Because Stack even said, "Smoke, you don't have vision." Because Stack was all in. He was all in to that, man. This is you're the best part of me, and he wanted his brother. And if Old Girl wasn't there, Smoke was gonna let Stack change him. So that's why I said I think Stack was a stronger brother out of the two.
Yeah, Smoke was hearing voices in his head. Zone fanfic with another one, bro. You got too much money in the bank to be. Just thank you, man. Let this be the last one, though. God, you can just write a comment. I'll read it. I promise. Zone. Appreciate the love. He says capitalists wanted to personify community, financial resources, and used music to do so.
That's interesting. No, now that is interesting. The idea of the music, but it still works with the culture stuff and the music. That is interesting.
But where's that represented in the movie?
Yeah, what does that have to do with the movie?
I think that
there was no money. What money was exchanged to make capitalism in this movie?
Yeah, I guess you guys are just going to disagree completely. Can we agree that music is being used to influence people regularly?
That's what music is.
100%. Yeah.
That's what else
there is good rap music, like Blue always tells me. You just got to go on Spotify and actually search. The good music is still being used right now.
That part where they were showing the hip hop and the different.
Yeah, that's what that whole scene was about. When the veil came down and every time folded in upon itself. But that's what music is. The vibrational. That's what it does to people. Whether good, bad, or indifferent. That's what music does.
It's the connection.
Music is magic.
But music is the connection throughout all your ancestors, all the generations, everything. You saw Chinese,
universal language,
no matter what, Indian, Native
math,
American,
music,
Western Africa, man.
But the blues has a root in Black struggle. The blues is considered the devil's music. Why? Because look who's making the music, so we can't like it. The blues also has Irish,
a West African component of it, and that's what made it so different.
That last song he was playing when he was the older version of Sammy, I think was the best song in the whole.
Nah, bro. We go into double and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was a banger. What?
That was a banger.
The thing about the blues, because if you look at African American culture and if you look at the music, again, when you're going back into the church and everything like that, one or two chords different, you got gospel music.
100%.
One or two chords different, you have gospel music. And so that's why a lot in the community is this big dichotomy. You either playing for the Lord or you out here sinning. Because you got those gifts and talents, you're supposed to play you have to play it for the Lord. And this is in all the different genres that African Americans have contributed to. Again, one or two chords, whatever.
Or slow down.
It all arises from, what I'm saying,
struggle,
gospel or struggle, conflict music, whatever you want to call it. Most music that African Americans have contributed to is due to some type of conflict. You know what I'm saying?
What you guys think about the spirituality part? So we have, the hoodoo, that part, that's more West African, talking about bringing it back over the hoodoo. And then you still have the Black Baptist church. and how they kind of use that dichotomy of like one or the other, or how they're both were very spiritual and they're like intersected in certain parts, but they kind of didn't in others. Like, did you anyone notice that?
Yes, and
Yes.
so my thought on that is that, and this could be controversial, but to me, the black Christians, right, that
It
in
will be
and of
controversial.
itself represents a form of assimilation
Ooh,
because it's
Yep.
taking on
Has to.
another culture's religion in order to, well, I mean, there are lots of reasons why that happened, but they essentially assimilated into that. And now we have millions and millions of American black Christians who certainly would not have anything to do with Christianity, 1,000 years ago or whatever.
Mhm. But he explained that in the movie also. Del Rolindo's character, when he was talking to Sammy, he said that the blues was sacred. He was like, I ain't talking about that Christian stuff that they gave us. The
Right.
blues is sacred. You hold on to that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's something we made. Wasn't
Right.
given to us. We made it. It's ours.
But
It's sacred.
that's something else because Southern Black Baptist music is a huge part of it, right? That's not something that was given. That's something that was taken from what we already had, and we made it part of it. It wasn't like music
I think
was
he's
a
just talking
huge
about
thing as part of
doing it.
Christianity. But I'm saying that we took, though we did assimilate, but we just made it our own because it's totally different
Oh, we
than
always
where
make
you got
everything
where
our
you got
own.
it from.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah, no, I agree. We always make it, but I think he was saying in the sense of just Christianity as a whole. Like you doing this for that. When you sing it for Jesus, or you sing it for your church. The blues is you singing for us. You singing for yourself. You singing for those people who on the side of the road digging that ditch while that man is standing over there with that shotgun. That's who
Yep.
you singing for. You see what I'm
So-
saying?
Blues is pretty much the man. It's like the physical manifestation of your pain, of your struggles, of your joys, of your different things like that. But I would go back into there when you talk about hoodoo and Christianity and all those things. Some of those things do merge together a little bit. And the biggest way that I can get people to understand that, but I know that people will say, no, they're separate. There are certain things about Christianity. You think about Easter, you think about the Easter bunny, you
Read
think about
Leviticus.
Christmas, you think about
Read
Christmas trees.
Leviticus. Leviticus
They
is all black magic. That's all
they bonded those practice of the Celtics and things like that so that they can get them to come in better in with Christianity. And I think some of that happens in hoodoo and things like that. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to say that that's
I
what's
love talking
happening.
about it.
There
They took
is
all paganism and put it into some type of play.
listen.
I'm with Danny right now.
You sit down with the if you sit down with with the Christian, you don't talk about those types of things because all those things are of the devil. Even those statements like if you say, oh, I was talking, I was, our ancestors, that you're not supposed to be talking about no ancestors because once they die, they demons. Once they die, they're no longer of this earth. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. You can't talk about that like that.
Okay.
Or say that you're pulling power from, or say you're doing those different things. And I may have just gone, sometimes I'll go too far
Nah, I
to.
feel you,
No,
man.
we were already too far.
Everything is of the Lord. Everything is of the Lord.
Rote
Everything is of
wisdom.
Jesus. You with it?
Rote wisdom's about to hit the road. Before you do, Cornbread was a character we didn't even touch on yet. That the Cornbread thought he would be putting his pecker inside of his wife's mouth. Cornbread thought he was going to be good. Just needed to take a little tinkle. Got bit. What did you think of Cornbread, bro? I love that character. My favorite scene was the Cornbread scene, not being invited inside. That was tense. That was horror that I like.
What do you think you're supposed to do? Be happy for everybody and nice.
Yeah, to one another.
Yeah, that was one of the bad parts of the movie. Cornbread. To me, it was really the only one that kind of made me jump a little bit, even though I saw it. You grab his arm. The other stuff did make me jump, but it was like very, very interesting. Before I go, that's my last ending point. I think this is one of the best movies I've seen in the past couple of years. I haven't gone to a movie twice in 1 week since Black Panther and Endgame, and I'm thinking about going a third time. So I highly recommend anyone that wants to see a really good movie. The movie is powerful because it got 6 different individuals from all across the world, the globe, talking about it. And one thing was very interesting too. I found out yesterday that most movies drop like 30-40% the second week.
Yep.
This one dropped 6%.
6%. Most drop 44, 50%.
Only dropping 6% is very powerful.
It's
That's
ridiculous.
by
crazy.
itself.
Only 6% is nuts.
Well, when
And
you
it's not even in all the theaters too, and still
It's
making
only in
millions.
33 limited
actually they increased to 39 extra screens this
So
weekend.
just think if they would have
last
pushed
weekend.
this,
Really,
they would have pushed this more, and it would have come out. I think come out on Easter kind of hurt it. Centers Easter.
Yeah, that was hard for me.
You get it. You get it. Yeah,
But
that's
if
what
it
I was
was-
saying on the Pantheon on Thursday. And
If it would have come out this week, this week,
it would have been even bigger. It was hard for me because I was like, I'm not going on Good Friday to go watch Sinners.
I went Thursday. Yeah, I went Tuesday. So I didn't do the blasphemous stuff, so to speak. But awesome movie, man. It was fantastic talking to y'all. But now I got to go and clean my pool. It's called.
Go do what you do.
Now that's symbolic,
See you,
guys. He's
Daddy.
got to clean the pool because the pool is clear. But if it's clear,
Peace, y'all. Later.
All right,
Later,
man. Take it
Daddy.
easy.
anyone else want to touch on Cornbread, bro? That particular scene. Actually, let me dip the conversation somewhere else. Who saw too much from the trailers? Who saw too much sneak peeks? Who thought that the movie gave away more than we should have given away? Because I think Haley Steinfeld or Mary when she said, "We gonna kill every last one of y'all," I guess that means she turns into a vampire. That was a big spoiler. So,
well, I guess after seeing it 3 times and watching that particular trailer, from watching the trailer, I always thought that she was a vampire. See, I had always
big bad.
Yeah, I thought she was the vampiress of vampires, you know. And I thought that this, I thought, you let me tell it. You let me tell it from that trailer is that they all stumbled into a vampire's den, and she's like, "Well, we're gonna kill y'all."
Right.
That's what I got. I did not even fathom that we were going to have the relationship types. The relationship archetypes that we were seeing on there. It didn't hit me. I just thought, 1930s vampires. They're
white woman, black people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't even sure I wanted to go see it. Honestly,
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if I wanted, evil brother versus good brother during this time period. I was like, I'm not even sure this is what I really want. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is totally different.
Yeah,
than I
when
thought
I
it was.
saw her, because I'm the person on the panel, and I'm not a horror movie person at all. I don't watch too many of them horror movies.
I love them. Bring them on.
But-
Bring them on.
Now,
So life was scary. I don't need fake.
Yeah,
scary.
I don't need all of that. But I did. When I saw the trailer, Chill, I was thinking this thing about, there's the turning of the vampires for me in this movie was quick, because usually there's some kind of time period where the vampire venom, it hadn't gone through your body too much, so that you still have the little thing. And I was thinking she was bitten, and then she was able to she knew them and everything like that. She was able to come in and then be able to invite the people. I don't know what I was thinking. I just didn't think that the whole background dynamic that was going on between her and Stack and Smoke and Ant. I didn't see all of that. When I saw those trailers, I just thought that they were there trying to protect their house, is what it looked like to me.
I love how everyone had to give their relationship with horror. We feel strongly about it, every single one of us. We all had to chime in right there. And speaking to the rules of horror, Blue, expert, is letting someone inside the house a vampire rule of horror?
Yes, that's a big. They made a whole movie about it called "Let the Right One In."
The right one in. Yeah. I ain't gonna check it out. I'm telling you,
they made two. It's a Swedish movie, which is the original, and then they did a remake, the American version with what's her name from Kick Ass, old girl,
Chloe.
Chloe
did, yeah. Grace Moretz.
Great, yeah. It was, man. The thing about that whole thing is, it's not just with vampires. They use it a lot with vampires, but it's with evil. You know what I'm saying? Because the whole premise of that is,
you have to invite
if evil can't come into your presence unless you let it in, and that's for if you really think about it, that's with anything.
Okay,
you know
Blue.
what I'm
I
saying?
just needed a yes or a no. You don't gotta give me
Nah,
the whole
you're gonna
book.
get all of this, man. I'm finna land this plane. Any kind of negativity, you know what I'm saying? You can't. It ain't gonna affect you unless you let it, and that's the whole thing about letting the right one in, or letting evil come across the threshold.
Okay, more on.
You watched Just one quick point. You watched they talked about it in what Coogler was just being interviewed in Lost Boys. You seen Lost Boys?
No.
Okay, keep going. We can move on then.
Oh, Cornbread. Let's keep it on Cornbread. Does Sean have anything to add about Cornbread? Largely, dude. Omar Miller. We last seen him in 8 Mile or Ballers. It really hasn't been much, but this is another like career kind of resurfacing role, isn't it?
I love the fact that they got my man from 8 Mile in it. He's one of those actors where I feel like there's, for me at least, specifically black actors, when they pop up, I'm so happy to see them, you know? And Ryan Coogler is now one of those directors who's bringing those people in. Like, let's get them some roles. Let's get them in. And he did his thing in this movie. I was really impressed by his acting. And that scene where he's trying to get in, and it's like, wait, why would you need to be invited inside? You already were here. That, like, this movie did such a great job with its horror in scenes that didn't even involve bloodshed or violence. Because it's the oh man, the dread factor, the tension factor that keeps ramping and ramping. So well done.
Gotcha. That one guy who didn't die, but he was kind of knocked out, and it turned out it wasn't really blood, and he was fine. Man, I felt so sorry for that dude, bro. I feel
like,
so
come
sorry.
on, get it.
They did him dirty.
And Omar Benson Miller is the one, or Cornbread is the one who ate up him.
He's too fast.
Yeah. Yes, they get fast. And they can fly, can't they?
Yeah. The whole idea was, sometimes it's your people that are going to get you. Sometimes it's your own people.
Be your own.
Get you. That's what the whole point was. That's my boy. I've known him for forever. But sometimes it's your own people.
I'm so grateful I didn't see that scene in the trailers or in any clips or any sneak previews, or I would always turn away. I saw very little of the movie itself before I seen the movie, and then ever since then, well, no, just watching things online. Damn, they showed that clip a whole lot of times, even with the point where he does decide to pay. Smoke decides to pay, and he reaches up for the army, and they would cut out there. But still, like, you gave away so much.
I thought that was stupid, but why did he just throw the money at him? There you go.
Why didn't he
Why
just
you think that? Why you thought they
tomorrow?
gave away too much? You thought they gave away too much in the trailer still?
People have said it. This is part of a narrative.
I mean, it's a horror movie, right? Or it's themed as a horror movie. What most horror movies have? Hold on, most horror movies have like a final girl or one person. So I don't see how you should go expecting Cornbread not to survive. You should go on expecting what they. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you Final Destination, the trailer that just came out last month. We know that dude gonna die. Like, I don't think that's giving away the trailer. It's Final Destination. Somebody got to die. Well, somebody got to turn to a vampire.
But can you imagine? But I mean, in Chill's point, I think that even Ryan Coogler didn't want to tell us anything about the movie. He wanted us to all go in blind. That was his whole point of not trying to get the plot away, which I think he didn't. I think that the trailer showed a lot of stuff that I didn't want to know.
Give the movie away.
I agree there. But I just say that
give the movie away.
He didn't want to give it. So you do want to be able to give someone the opportunity to walk in without having all the social media telling you exactly what's going to happen beforehand. But I think the stuff that they gave you was like a red herring. It was false. It was like this is what you thought it was going to be about.
I thought it was
really about this.
A strict vampire movie. I honestly did. I honestly thought, and I was not going to go see it. It wasn't until I saw the cast start talking about it a little bit, and I was like, I'm gonna go see it, but because I was like, I'm gonna go see it to support, but it ain't nothing. You just don't realize how I had my phone charged, and I was gonna be playing some kind of game because I knew it was gonna be some jump scares.
What was dope though, Pam? If the vampires would have never showed up, I still would have been there watching this movie because that's just how good
it was. Good.
Yeah. The 40 minutes, I think it was about 40 minutes until we even sniff the vampire element was some of the best stuff in the movie. Yeah,
I agree.
It was about 40 minutes.
Yeah, and that was probably one of my best. The whole framing of these characters and giving you depth and make you connect with these characters.
Right.
You understand who they are. So now when you take them away, you really feel the loss.
Stakes, stakes, and a lot of movies don't understand stakes and consequences. Like, you made me love these characters just for you to take them away. That's what made the movie dope.
That goes against the point I'm making though about the stack being revealed as a vampire. We learned to love these characters, and then it got taken away. When we know it's being.
When did they reveal Stack being a vampire? I didn't see.
I remember a trailer
I missed
scene.
the trailer. I didn't see a trailer with him being a vampire. My bad. I didn't see one.
My rule is one trailer. I will only watch one trailer for any movie. If I'm interested after the first trailer, I've seen
Yeah.
enough.
Good policy.
I have not watched the most recent Fantastic Four trailer.
Same.
I'm good.
I won't.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Same
I
with
watch all them
Thunderbolts.
shits.
I'll have a better time not knowing what's gonna go on. When I see the Mandalorian Grogu trailer, I might not do no reaction. I just might
But
because I want to
also,
enjoy it.
spoilers don't bother me. I'm one of those dudes. I could read the whole. If somebody put the script down before me, I read the script and still go watch the movie. So
I read a
don't
lot
like
of books,
book culture.
things that are about books, and I read the entire book before I even go see the movie because I want to, I want to know what's going on.
yeah.
I would be glad when they get to the point where if you're going to put out a trailer and a trailer about the movie, make sure you use some scenes that are not going to ever be in the movie.
They used to do that.
Yeah, they used to do that. The
Isn't that
trailer
false
would be some
advertising?
no, because they may be deleted scenes. You get it
Yeah.
in the DVD.
It's not false.
Marvel.
Somebody got sued for that, saying that it was false advertising. Come to find out, I can put whatever I want to in the trailer because by the time the movie comes out, it's a different movie anyway. So if I release a trailer, let's say I release a trailer today, and in a year or 6 months the movie is coming out. You know what I'm saying? I'm still shooting scenes. I'm still doing stuff. So no, it's not false advertising.
I want to touch on the vampires who were outside. They knock on the door. Hey, let's play a little music. Nah, you're not invited. And they say, well, walk slowly. Okay. When Mary finally linked up with them, talked with them, chatted with them, what was taking so long? Why they're vampires, right? Why didn't they just go, yummy, dinner time? Why did they have to speak with her slowly? You didn't really need to take that long, did you? That didn't make sense to me.
Can I go?
Please.
let me tackle. I think that's we were just talking about them not losing their humanity, right? They're still at the essence, they still have their soul. So they still gonna make conversation. They still want to draw you in. They still want you to make the choice of joining the crew. Oh, okay, yeah, this is a good person to be part of our quartet that we're about to make. You see what I'm saying?
They're not evil.
They're not. They're not
They don't
bad.
think they're evil.
They're not bad. What the clan is. The clan was bad. I don't know what Remick might be a good dude, but the clan was most definitely bad. We know that for a fact. But
I just meant vampirism doesn't turn you evil.
Evil, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't,
And
because
also, too, they didn't
made
know
a
who was
deal
watching.
with Stack and Mary made a deal that they wouldn't attack Smoke, and they had honor and they stuck by it. Even in the future, they don't actually eat on Sammy because that was the deal that they made. So yeah, they're vampires, but fine, we'll make a deal. You keep us alive. All right, cool.
I think that the thing about Remy, when they were outside, they also didn't know who was watching because they didn't want to show their final form because they didn't know who was watching because they really weren't that. The only reason why you didn't see it is because of the cars, because the building was right there. Now Smoke was upstairs. Can you imagine if he was looking out the window? And he would have saw that, it would have changed the whole trajectory of the movie.
To get back in, and they wanted to get back in.
And that's a thing too. They could have been using her as the Trojan horse to get up in.
That's exactly what she was. Trojan horse to get in.
Then explain to me how they left, because inside after she gets shot up, Mary gets shot up, she just runs and leaves. Why don't you just go bite some more people? Why did you leave? Same with Smoke, or rather Stack. When he turns, he's outside the door. He gets out the door.
Did her job,
and so she did her job.
Yeah, I think she did her job. Her job was to go out. You got to think. Remick had a job to do. Mary had a job to do. Everybody else was just there for if you really think about it. If they didn't have a personal attachment, if they didn't have a personal attachment to what was going on inside, they really didn't have. When she came back, when old girl opened up said, all right, y'all motherfuckers, y'all come on in. You know what I'm saying? It was just mayhem, but it wasn't. Mary went after Stack because that's who she was in love with. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Sammy, Remick was going after Sammy because Remick wanted Sammy. Old boy Choi would have went after his wife because you see what I'm saying? Everybody had a specific person that they would
save you.
Yeah, right. If she couldn't get to Stack, she would have bit somebody else. She would have gotten to somebody else.
Yes, she possibly would have.
Why did Stack leave the house then? When Stack was trapped inside,
Remick called them out. Like, all right, everybody reconvene. Come on back out.
They had to do the little dig.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that Remick was Irish, especially in this time period. During the time when Irish, early in the early 1900s, they were like black people. They were at the bottom of the food chain. They were all very oppressed people in themselves.
He said that too.
And it's funny because every other culture that was there were oppressed people at some point in time.
Yeah.
Everybody else, not Chinese people. You know, you had concentration camps. So you've been
Except for the
oppressed.
Klan.
Yeah, but besides white men, everyone
gonna
else,
keep calling
the
them
Choctaw
out.
Indians, you know, you
Yeah,
already
the
know
Choctaw,
how oppressed they've been. Every other person has been oppressed that was in this movie. So I thought that was interesting too.
I got a little thing with the Choctaw. We'll get to it later. I want Chill to finish up what he got, but put a pin on the Choctaw.
I want a movie with it. I want to see them.
I got a
Indian
theory.
vampire hunters. Let's go.
I got a theory that they can do.
Fire.
I got that. I got a theory
people
about
brought all smallpox and they brought vampirism.
I got a theory, you know, because they believe in skinwalkers, which is like werewolves.
Yes.
So I was thinking of
Skinners.
God, you see where I'm going?
Likens, I see.
Yeah, go ahead, Chill.
I like
we can come back to that later.
I think I want to touch on Clan. I know Brian wants to touch on Delta Slim. So how about you take it away?
My only thing about Delta Slim, I thought that the scene in the car was so emotional and so just profound. And the speech and the idea what he talked about when and being strung up and seeing someone being castrated and being lynched and actually hearing those words and understanding coming out of his mouth, it was unbelievable because no one talks about it really. And for it to be those generational people, so Delta Slim in there, you still you had Stack was in there, right? And then you still had Sammy, and the fact that they're going through and explaining why he's the way he is, why is he drinking, why he has this profound like depression in him, why he's trying to forget all this pain. That was one of the most intense and emotional things I've ever seen. And then for them, the fact that they kind of just ad-libbed the song and kept it going, and Michael B. Jordan kind of pushed Sammy to, hey, we're gonna go do this, you got the guitar, play it, and they just went with it. That's one of the best things in cinema I've seen. That scene.
Delroy Lindo is the actor who played Delta Slim, and those of us who've seen a lot of these black movies, we've seen him because he's all over them. Yep. One of my favorite actors. I'm so glad he got this opportunity to shine in a major motion picture like this that so many people will see, because he deserves his flowers. He's old now, but he still has the chops, and he put them on display. Maybe his best performance. Yeah,
next to I don't know. He got some good performances.
Yeah, he has
some of his TV. Some of his TV stuff is good.
Not to take anything away from it.
That bar is high. He set that bar high early though. Malcolm X.
Malcolm X, Clockers, Crooklyn is. Oh, Crooklyn. Yeah. Jeez, man. So what's the other movie when he was Satchel Paige? Soul of the Game. When you're talking about, oh my God, the Negro League. That's one. He was perfect. I thought that he was Satchel Paige for like the longest.
Yeah, he set the bar high.
Yeah, no, he's
because I know you're getting through, because we all know that Chill clock watches, y'all.
Oh yeah, we should have been done 12 minutes ago, but don't worry.
I know.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
You're generous with your times.
But again, being the elder stateswoman on the panel and the only woman on the panel, I would be remiss, and the big girl on the panel, I would be remiss if we did not talk about the relationship between Smoke and Annie, and the whole discourse on how people thought she was his mama, she was his big sister, she was her big thing, and just that whole point. We love Ryan for the fact that we be out here. Yeah. We be out here. We be getting out because we soft and squishy and gushy and all kinds of stuff. We are out here. Wow. Do you hear me? Yes, and I just to have that to be visualized on the big screen was a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I'll push back.
And it was wonderful. It was, and she was a love interest in Lovecraft Country too. So I don't know why they thought that she would be. I haven't seen her play anything other than.
She been sexy. The only time she didn't play a sexy role was Marvel? In the TVA, the Loki.
Yeah, I'm gonna say in Marvel, man, that might be.
But nobody's sexy in Marvel.
Right.
But I just want it to be, because again, there is this society says that you have to look a certain way, you have to be a certain size, you've got to speak a certain way, your hair has to flow a certain way. Society says all of these different things, and you saw it in the discourse. And now I didn't hear it out in the streets, because out in the streets we were all like, yes, we do that. But online, it was something to see how people were like, I didn't get that she was his love interest. How is he? Because they look at Michael B. Jordan and they say Michael B. Jordan, and he should have been. Everybody was okay about him being with Haley Steinfeld's character, but then when you saw him with Wumi's character, it was, wait a minute, what's going on? And even with the press run, everybody was picking on the fact that him and Haley had this kind of back and forth and everything, and they made their relationship. You would think, if you saw that their relationship was going to be this big integral part of the movie,
And
but
it was
everybody
more
was
important with Andy. Andy was way more important, and that relationship
she was way more important in the movie.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you then fucked me and you licked my coos, and I thought that you were saying to keep me. She said some line like that Torian wanted me to say. All right, I'd rather talk about something interesting that happened, which is that there was a scene where Remick was telling them, "Oh yeah, I just bit my boy, and they're actually clan members, guys. The clan was gonna come over here and kill you guys next morning, anyways." And I'm like, "Oh, that's a throwaway line," but it was always in my head. I wasn't surprised, and I didn't require the flashback scene right before Smoke was ready to shoot them all up. I didn't require that. I don't think flashback scenes are always going to get a thumbs down for me. Like, allow me to remember, So anyways, they flashed back and they showed that clan stuff. Smoke had business to take care of, and he took care of them. And that's what I like. I remember watching it in Woman King, where they fought back the Africans there. They made sure that those, Portuguese that were coming over were all killed, brutally killed. We got to cheer for it. We saw violence, and I'm like, good. And I understood why Ryan Kindle was upset with the movie. This is the same thing where I understand why Ryan Kindle would be upset with this movie. Actually, I haven't gone on his channel to see what he says about it, but like seeing Klansmen lose, seeing them brutally killed and shot at, and even when they're begging, "Oh, no," you're still killing them. I loved it. If anything, I'm pissed that Smoke got he got shot in the belly.
Yeah,
right?
that was the saddest part. I was like, man,
probably he'll live through it though.
No,
I was like,
a gut shot normally kills
channel
you.
membership.
A gut shot normally kills you. That's
And
like
again,
one of the most
that
deadliest
goes
shots.
back to Chill, what we were talking about in the beginning. That goes back to allowing people to then research the history behind that. Because if you understand what was going on, the Klan was going to always come back, and they were going to always come back because under Jim Crow, there were a lot of laws that said that you couldn't sell property to black people. So just the mere fact that this man sold a mill to Smoke and Stack, that was already against the law. He was going to come back anyway. He took their money, and he was going to come back and say that they were all trespassing.
Yeah,
and they had
first
to.
time he sold it,
and they had to do that. No, because it's the Great Depression. He didn't have any money. That's the only way they were going to get money. So they had to steal that money. That's why the whole point of the timing, that the October 16, 1932, that's why it's so important. The Great Depression has already started. They've lost their money.
Also, that mill,
advantage of that.
That mill is where they actually killed black people at.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
anybody black watching that opening bit where the KKK guy is selling them the mill, we all knew exactly what that was.
Yeah,
exactly what that was.
Remick said it was a slaughterhouse. That's what they was killing. That's what they was doing. They killing that.
Chill brought up something that I really wanted to touch on, which was the sort of like the watershed feeling you get when you watch the KKK get killed at the end of the movie. And I completely agree with that. What I also love, though, is that we didn't have to go through the emotional turmoil of watching black people be slaves, watching them get whipped, watching them get lynched and everything else like we always do. Like Django Unchained, right? Like, at the end you get to see Jamie Foxx kill. Yeah, to get that feeling, we had to go through a lot, and I don't want to do that anymore. I'm not watching any more movies like that.
Because it should just be understood.
Exactly. I have no more interest in seeing that. So I'm glad that this movie didn't do that, but we did get that moment anyway.
Right.
Yep. And without having to see it, we heard the story, but not having to see it in film is huge.
Right.
That probably would turn me off. I probably would have had a totally different outcome or outlook on it if I would have seen it.
What was good about this movie is it was so layered, a lot going on, and it was real heavy, but it wasn't heavy-handed. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
right.
Well put. Well put.
That's what was dope about this movie.
Very poetic. But when I was first introduced to this movie 2 years ago when they first announced it, I go, a clan vampire movie, and it didn't turn out being that way.
Yeah. No, but that's what I mean by, and I think Pam agreed too, like the switcheroo. Like it was how it was given to. Remember, I was like, he stole the Blade fucking script and went and redid his own movie. You know what I'm saying? Like all of that. Like it was so not what we thought it was gonna be at all. This was like a total just 180, just the opposite way from what I thought it was gonna be. So
I did want to say one thing. The idea that the city is Clarksdale, Mississippi, it's pretty damn awesome. Because you guys
is that
know
where Emmett still lives?
No, that's what Robert Johnson. The story of Robert Johnson when he sold his soul at the crossroads. You know, he sold his soul. That was the whole, and he became this great blues player. That's the whole story, right? And the fact that it was in Clarksdale, that was awesome. You know, I saw that. I heard that. Oh, right there. I was pointing. Like, oh yeah, that was it. You know, so I thought that was a really good.
I have no idea what you're referencing. Interesting.
Oh, so
that's American history, Chill.
Yeah, Robert Johnson is like he was apparently he was a guitar player. He wasn't that good of a guitar player, whatever. Apparently, he went out one night in the crossroads, called a demon out, told him, you know, something happens. He's gone for 18 months. He comes back. He's like the best blues player, guitar player that has ever lived. And they think that he sold. The story was that he sold his soul to the devil to become this great guitar player. It was a crossroads demon that he went to go see, and then all of a sudden he got all this fame and all this stuff about it. And it's been in a lot of different stories. You've seen it in a lot of different TV shows.
I think that's what the guitar represented too.
Exactly.
I think the guitar represented that in this movie.
Yeah, man. Towards the ending, they did the post-credit scene. Stay for the credits, of course. Don't stay for the end credit scene. I don't think there was anything special there, unless you like listening to good music.
If you want to stay there and let him get his singing on.
Damn, there were two post credits.
Yeah, like Chill said, the second one wasn't significant to the story. It was just, I looked at it. It was them trying to get Miles Canton out there, let you know that he's real talented and stuff like that. That's really what I thought about.
I got to go back and see it. How many times did everybody here see it?
Once.
Okay.
I've only seen it. I'm going to see it. What's today? Monday. I'm going to see it tomorrow.
I only saw it once myself.
I'm gonna hop on in a minute. We're not gonna be live in a minute. We're over. Perfect. It's over. Tank says there's an awesome movie about the crossroads.
If you want to know about Robert Johnson.
Robert Johnson, yeah.
Know about Robert. Open in another tab, Robert Johnson, and then I'll, you know what I mean. So thank you everyone for watching this live stream. I was always going to do a Sinners live stream, but because Sean said on his channel, The Comics Pals, which everyone should be watching, he was like, you can't do it because I'm not a vampire movie. I'm a comic book channel. Well, we're a vampire movie channel here. So thank you for joining. Thank you for giving your talents. And for everyone who doesn't know, Sean is from The Comics Pals. Spell it out. Figure it out.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Brian, he's from The Spoiler Kings. Mondays and Thursdays, right?
Always. Let's go. Last of Us tonight.
And because Pam knows how to put her name in the title, I don't even got to explain where she's from. It's already there. Pam Entertainment TV. You already have a Sinners stream on your channel, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Blues House. You can check him out. And he'll be live in what, half hour? You'll be doing Blurred AF, aren't you?
Yeah, half hour Blurred AF.
That's us. Thanks everyone for coming. I'll put their links in the description. Thank you to the super chatting. Thank you to the memberships and everyone who jumped in here. Cultural Made Channel says, but he never actually sold his soul. It was just a way to take away from his improvement.
It's just a story.
Robert.
That's all it is. He's a real person, though.
It's myth. It's legend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sub up. I'm going to have a Iyanu comic book, another analysis of how they differed from the comics from the TV show. I'll have my Iyanu reaction.
How the comics is better.
the comics is better. I take the route that the animation is better. And Blue, stick on right after I hit end stream because there's something I need to tell you that you're gonna like. Everyone else, hit thumbs up. Bye.